Hey guys, just a quick message before we start today's episode. On behalf of Lanceroy and Retro Reloaded, we want to give a huge thank you to the incredible Patreon supporters who help keep the show alive and growing. A special shout out to our 64-bit legend, Zero, for your continued top-tier support. Thank you as well to our 16-bit adventurers, Tetra Folly, Marcus Q, and Sankar. And to our 8-bit explorers, Big Nick Dika, Werecoon Warden, yours truly, Wobeeyert, and Gaming Quarterly. Your support means the world to us, and especially Lance, and it's because of you that Retro Reloaded can continue celebrating gaming history, deep dives, and great conversations. We truly couldn't do this without you. And with that said, it's time to press start and jump into today's episode.
Hey there! Welcome to Retro Reloaded. I'm your host Lance, and each week I tackle a retro game shaped by your picks. If you want a chance to choose next week's game or unlock exclusive bonus episodes and polls, join me on Patreon at patreon.com/retroreloaded. There's even a free tier to dip your toes in. Big thanks for all of your love and support. It means the world to me. Now let's hit the start button and reload those retro vibes. So guys, we are here with a brand new segment on Retro Reloaded. I got this idea to do kind of a versus episode, and I think I'm going to do more in the future, like this versus that, this game versus this game. I decided to start with Wind Waker versus Twilight Princess, and part of the reason I decided to start with these two games is because I know we got a lot of Zelda fans in the Discord, Tetra being one of them, Wobeeyert being one of them, and I thought it would be like a really good first episode to go with. And plus, I've played both of these games, so I have kind of an understanding of what they're going to be saying. I'm going to be playing the referee, and I'm going to try to be as unbiased as possible in this conversation we're going to have. Tetra's going to lay out her arguments for why Wind Waker might be a better game in some aspects, and then Wobeeyert's going to lay out his reasons on why Twilight Princess is going to be a better game. And it was actually a little bit hard finding a Wind Waker fan that prioritized Wind Waker over Twilight Princess, which I'm surprised about, but I'm glad, Tetra, that you picked up the torch and decided to run with it. It's really cool. So thank you for coming on to the show.
Yep. I honestly was not surprised at all that a lot of people prefer Twilight Princess, to be honest.
Yeah, I was so surprised. And then, because I know Twilight Princess hasn't had the best reception. I know it's been decent, but not the best. And Wobeeyert, why did you choose, I mean, maybe we're not going to get into it, but, maybe why did you decide to be the Twilight representative today?
So I kind of separate Zelda into different genres and then pick my favorites from there. Like there's the 2D, the 3D, and then there's the open. Like the open world would be Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom by this point. But I kind of, like most times when I consider it, I think Twilight's my favorite 3D Zelda game.
Okay, that's fair.
Like I love Majora's Mask. It has a lot of nostalgia for me in Majora's Mask though. And going back to it, it hasn't quite aged as well. But like Ocarina holds up better than Majora in my opinion. But I still prefer Majora. But when I look back at Twilight, every time I go through, I'm like, yes.
Okay. Yeah, great. Is Wind Waker your favorite 3D Zelda, Tetra, or is it another one?
For me, Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask will always still be my favorite 3Ds. But I do very much like Wind Waker a lot.
Okay, great.
And it's
awesome.
actually the first Zelda game that I went through to try to complete, while the first game I ever played was Ocarina of Time. That was on someone else's save file. Wind Waker I actually was in... Like, we had the GameCube, and we got Wind Waker on release.
Okay, that's fair. So that was the first one you, completed?
Yes.
Awesome. Yeah, so I got to play Wind Waker, a few years ago for the first time, and it's been a long time since I've played Twilight, so maybe Wob's going to remind me of some of the things about Twilight. It's been, since I was a teenager. But I do remember liking both of these games for their own reasons. And... So just a little backdrop for these games. Wind Waker came out on the GameCube in 2002, and Twilight Princess was released in 2006 for the GameCube and the Wii. So they were around the same time period. Twilight Princess has a slight 4-year advantage, but they are the same generation, roughly, considering that Twilight Princess has also been was also released for the Wii. So, yeah, I know that Wind Waker had a mixed review upon launch, and I think nowadays it's kind of taken more of a, people actually think it's like a better game than it was when it first came out. And then Twilight Princess almost kind of seems like it did the opposite. Like, people really thought it was great upon reception, and it's kind of done like maybe a slight decline in retrospect. So we're going to hear all these different things about these games. I'm going to stop talking. We're going to go into different rounds, and round 1 is going to be art style and visual identity. So graphics, etc., etc. So let's play the sound clip.
Round 1, fight!
All right. So round 1 fight. We're going to start here. We'll start with Wobeeyert. So can you kind of lay out the argument for the graphic style maybe for Twilight Princess?
This is a tough starting point because arguably Wind Waker's aged a lot better than Twilight because of the cell shading.
Sure.
In some aspects, I kind of actually wish that Twilight had cell shading, but it's not so much just the art style, it's the setting and the ambiance of Twilight Princess that it's from the beginning that it feels like darkness is and the more you get into the game, like, spoilers alert for everybody, but like even when you meet Zelda for the first time, she's trapped in the Twilight realm, and then she basically, like, a little ways down there, like down the road, just like she's like, okay, well, Midna, you can do more than I can, so I'm going to give you my power. I'm going to give you the power to live because I can't do anything. Like, you guys are the only thing that can happen. And it feels almost like somber at points. Like, even the kids even get kidnapped, dude. Like, Twilight Princess touches on a lot more because they were trying to go from more mature, and you can tell that by the game. Like, at the point where you fight the king, Bulbin, and he's just got that kid like tied to a stick on his like boar. It's just it's a lot more gritty.
Okay, yeah.
The art style, it speaks its volumes really when, and I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but like the art style is the same all through. It feels like a big world, like where Wind Waker has like a big ocean, which is cool, but like everything feels interconnected in Twilight, and like even the dungeons are part of the world. Everything in it is just like from one place to another. You can go down the river from the Zoro's domain all the way back to Lake Hylia, just like you could in Ocarina. And the world, the Hyrule feels too big, but it still doesn't feel like it's way too big.
Okay.
Like, it doesn't feel like there's nothing to.
Yeah. All right. Tetra, do you have any objections to what Wob said?
No, not really. I do think it does have a much darker tone for the appearance of the game, which at some points I do wish Majora's Mask had that darker tone because it would have fit the story of Majora's Mask back then. But yeah.
Okay. So yeah, great. So let's hear why. Let's hear about Wind Waker's graphics and art style, and why it might be better or worse than Twilight Princess.
So I've already slightly touched on this, and that is Wind Waker's graphics did age fairly well. And it's really funny to think about how back when the game released, that was actually one of the main reasons why Wind Waker didn't perform as well when it came out. Because they were expecting something better, and they got this kind of cartoonish Toon Link, as he eventually became known as. But the shading with the character models, the giant vast ocean, and the waves, actually looks pretty good and still holds up fairly well today. Even though they did kind of do the HD remaster, which to me, Wind Waker could have. Like, the stuff they added for the remaster, like, gameplay-wise, great. They didn't really need to upgrade the graphics that much, but...
Okay. Yeah, just to add on to your point, I did not play the HD version. I did play the regular version a couple years ago, and I would agree with the point that the graphics have aged pretty well. Is there anything else you wanted to add to the graphics?
Not really. I mean... being able to see like the vast ocean and knowing that it's like with the game, the whole Hyrule, like the original Hyrule, is all underwater. Like with how big the area is, you can definitely tell that there probably was a giant kingdom underneath the waves once that popped up more in the story. But yeah, that's about it.
Okay, Wob, do you have any objections to what Tetra said?
I do No, I have to agree in a manner. I do like that they upped the graphics in the Wii U port. I actually prefer the Wii U port because of just the simple quality of life adjustment.
It's the quality of life thing
Yeah,
that I like
the
most
the
about
little
it.
shininess they did with the cell shading is a little off, but I almost like it a bit more, I guess. But the HD versions of both are actually my preferred ways of playing both.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right. Twilight had an HD version as well.
Yep, they both, and people have been asking for them to get ported over to the Switch.
No, just buy a Wii U, nerds.
Wow. Okay. I don't know if I've actually seen the HD port of or graphics for the Twilight Princess, so I'm a little interested. I wonder if that what strengthens the case for its graphics as well. You know, because I haven't seen them.
Shines a light a little more on the whole.
Okay.
It
Great.
does look better, but they also it was a GameCube game, and they were trying to go for
Yeah.
like they were bound to stumble.
Okay. All right. So, yeah, both of them had their own graphicality. That's not a word, but we're using it. Graphicality. And, you know, there was a cell shaded versus the realistic look that they tried to achieve on the GameCube during that time for Twilight Princess. And I will say that I don't think it aged that bad. I think it's actually still okay. And I think that... yeah, I think it's still decent. So it's not like some of these games where you go back and it's like, it's just hideous game. Twilight Princess isn't that. So, yeah, let's go on to round 2. Okay, round 2 will be world design and exploration. So the question is, which world is more engaging to explore? And we'll start with Tetra first this time.
So, Wind Waker kind of started the whole, so Majora's Mask started the, really big side quest sort of thing that you could do to kind of explore the world. Wind Waker kind of turned that up to a bit. Like, there's so many different side quests you could do to help you explore the world. And there's actually a game mechanic that a lot of people forgot about. And it's a song that you can learn in Wind Waker to make traveling around the world so much easier. But because the main downside with Wind Waker and the original version of it is that the ocean travel can get a little boring, but it's also always really nice to see the seagulls flying around, as you're sailing on the ocean. And then the music for the ocean is actually really, really good. I actually really like the Great Sea theme that plays. And then each of the different islands literally feels like they're a completely separate world from each other because they are islands that are separated by this vast ocean, which, would make sense for exploring this whole world. And the towns of where the Rito are on Dragon Roost Island, they feel very lived in, and it's kind of nice to explore the world. It's just at times can get a little tedious unless you have the Ballad of the Gales, but in order to get that, you got to go track down a cyclone. But
yes, I remember this. I do remember this.
But that makes getting around the world so much easier once you get it.
Yes.
But yeah. It is a little slow just sailing, but sometimes it's actually very calming. Like you can just point the sail in the wind in a direction, put your controller down, lay back, and just listen to the nice music playing.
Yeah. Yeah, it does have some nice music. I agree with that. It has some pleasant melodies. I particularly like the one on the the volcano island or something like that.
Dragon Roost. Everyone loves Dragon Roost.
Yeah,
that has the best song.
It has such a good song. It's so good. And there's actually one boss fight I remember too. It's like a sand monster of some sort, and it was a really good melody too. I just can't remember that one specifically. All right, Wob, do you have any objections to what Tetra said, or?
For the sake of the argument, we'll go off of the GameCube release because that sounds more fair. I mean, Wind Waker HD, it has more quality of life adjustment. Twilight.
Yeah.
Like Twilight you can use the touchpad to transform into Wolf Link faster. And additional, but
that's fair.
Wind Waker
HD had the fast sail.
Switch the fast sail, and then less of a side quest. So yeah, for the sake of the argument, I'll go with GameCube. So I found that the best part of exploring Wind Waker was getting the maps, and then from there, I agree, the islands do feel really lived in, but I feel like there's so much bloat like there's so many nothing islands that are just like, oh hey, you can go dig for some, you can get some treasure on your boat from this one, and I'm just like, okay, I don't want to destroy these cannons. I do.
I can definitely agree with that. There are some islands, but the like main islands you have to travel to do feel pretty good. But
the main islands definitely.
I can agree with that point on the on the exploring.
As for GameCube though, like yeah, the Gale does help to get around, to travel around faster. But both these games kind of suffer from that in travel regards, because if you want to fast travel, you have to either like hunt down the song. If you don't have the song, you got to change the direction of the wind. You got to go all the way there. Whereas Twilight is, you have to turn into a wolf when nobody's around, and then talk to Midna, then tell Midna that you're gonna teleport, then choose where to teleport. They both kind of suffer from a bit of tedium.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay. I think those are fair criticisms. Yeah. So what about Twilight Princess's world? Is it engaging to explore, and why?
Oh, Twilight Princess's world is just, like I said at the beginning, it all feels so connected, and I love that. Like, you leave Ordon Village, you get to Hyrule Field, you can't explore the whole thing because Hyrule Field goes all around Hyrule Castle. Then you make your way over to Kakariko, because there's always a Kakariko in the 3D ones,
right?
Except for Wind Waker, but that, it was drowned, which is fair. There's always, what I liked about Twilight's world is it's a bit big and vast, just like Wind Waker. But with Wind Waker, I felt that I was either fighting gauntlets of enemies or just picking up treasures. Whereas in Twilight, I was hunting down golden bugs, going to the bottom of caves to find heart pieces, which is like similar in vein to what Wind Waker does. But I felt it was a little easier for me to figure out the puzzles and where to go from the next spot instead of fishing in random hole. Oh, heart piece, cool.
Okay. All right, yeah. Do you have anything else to say, Wob, about the world, or?
The world is okay. So it blends into like the dungeons and such, and I don't feel that way about Wind Waker. I kind of feel like some of the dungeons do, but in Twilight, like for instance, one of my favorite dungeons is the Ice Temple, which is this Yito and Yita. That's their names, I think. But the big Yetis. And their house is the temple. Like, it's this big mansion in this frosty mountain. And because you go there and you see this big thing, and it's not just a temple, it's where they live. Like, you can see what they do there. It's cool.
Yeah.
The Death Mountain's always in a volcano. That's not a surprise.
I think, one thing I did like about Twilight's world is that it kind of reminded me of Ocarina's world. So there was some nostalgia in there, I think. I don't remember everything, but I do remember the Hyrule Field being pretty big. And I do remember, seeing the classic races that you see in Ocarina of Time. You see almost all of them, right? Like you see the Gorons.
Gerudo.
Okay, you don't see the Gerudos, but you see the Zora.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's really cool. And because I've kind of grown fond of those races specifically. I think in Wind Waker, you see a different, I think, what are they, evolutions of those races? Is that correct?
So you see an evolution of the Zoras and the Kakiri from Ocarina of Time, but then but there is a Goron in the game. There is a Goron in the game. Gorons. There's a couple Gorons.
They're only part of the side.
And what's weird about the world is that you don't see someone who resembles a Gerudo, aside from Ganon himself, until the sequel, Phantom Hourglass.
Okay.
And you do see a Zora ghost.
Yes, you see a Zora ghost.
You actually see a Kokiri and Zora ghost,
yes,
but it's only for the one scene.
Yes, I remember. It's when you learn the song.
No.
Right?
It's technically 2 scenes, because you learn the song, then you have to go get the person and bring him back, and then you see him again.
Okay, you get 2. Yeah, you get 2. Okay, that's 2 is more than 1. It's double. That's double the amount. Yeah, okay, so
math's adding up.
Tetra.
I guess it's 4 points for Tetra.
Do you have any objections to what Wob said about the world of Twilight?
So here's the thing: is that with both Wind Waker and Twilight Princess, they were kind of trying to push the capacity of what the GameCube could do with the world. And I agree with most of Wob's points. Though at times I will say Twilight Princess also had a similar problem to Wind Waker, aside from the fast travel thing. And the fact that at times it kind of seemed like tedious and monotonous roaming the world, especially if you're going through Hyrule Field and stuff like that. But then again, like Ocarina of Time suffered that too. But
Right. Yeah, okay.
I always love looking at Ocarina of Time's Hyrule Field, and like, because I used to think that was huge,
oh yeah,
and it's like a fraction the size of any recurring Zelda game from there.
oh yeah. Ocarina of Time though also was like, here you see time pass to see how long it takes you to get to Hyrule Castle from Kokiri Forest.
Right. Yeah, when I went back and played it for the podcast, I didn't feel like it was small. Like maybe it was smaller than what I remembered, but it still wasn't like tiny, in my opinion.
No, it's like I said, like it's big, but it's like it's like playing like a Dragon Age game, but then playing like an Elder Scrolls game.
Right.
And this is kind of a problem that actually all of the Zelda games kind of have once like right after Hyrule Field was really like introduced in Ocarina of Time, like this vast field. Because Termina Field also felt at times monotonous, just a little less so because you came across enemies more often, so there was something to do. Then Wind Waker, the Great Sea, was kind of monotonous traveling around. Twilight Princess's Hyrule Field kind of is big, but at times can be a little monotonous going around. And then there's Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom. Their Hyrule Field's huge for no apparent reason.
I like Twilight's Hyrule Field though, because you get Epona.
Yes,
I like riding Epona.
I did miss Epona in Wind Waker.
But like 10 out of 10 times rather ride a horse than an old man boat. Just saying.
Who basically would sit there and call you dumb if you messed up or got shot out of the boat.
Epona does talk a lot less than the boat does. That is for sure.
You can talk to Epona does have Twilight.
Epona does have two lines.
What does she say?
She says something along the lines of, I even in this form I recognize you because of your scent. When you're ready, change back and hop on.
Oh, that's wholesome.
It is wholesome.
Yeah, Epona's a good horse.
That was okay. Now I don't know where this would fit in the category, but that was one of the best things in that game when I was young.
Epona?
Just being able to just say hi to Epona.
Oh, yeah.
Being able to talk to Epona.
But being able, because when you're wolf,
and being able to talk to animals in general, so you're able to talk to the cat and stuff like that. That's the best thing about Wolf Link, in my opinion. Talking to the puppies
was so good, and you know what? We'll get to that.
Yeah. We definitely have gameplay mechanics coming up. Not in this round.
Ooh, yeah.
But this next round is going to be dungeon design. Okay, so dungeon design. I know that Wind Waker doesn't have a lot of them, but are they quality? And I know Twilight Princess has some, and I remember one of them being particularly interesting, but I'm not going to go too much into it because I'm the ref, and I don't want to be too biased here. So this time we're going to start with Wob on the dungeon design and why it's good in Twilight Princess.
Okay. Just starting from the bottom, like we're going to get Death Mountain out of the way. Not that it's a bad thing. It's just in like every Zelda game. There's always the fire temple, right? The water temple in this game is not bad. It's pretty. The puzzles are a little bit finicky, but once you figure it out, you can get it done. Everybody remembers hating the water temple from Ocarina. Every time I go to the water temple in Twilight, I don't hate it. It's not
just
terrible.
Water temples have a bad reputation.
Okay,
that's fair.
The Forest Temple, the first one you go to in Twilight Princess, beautiful set pieces, great level design. Puzzles aren't that bad. Then we get a little further. Like I said, the Ice Palace, the Ice Temple, the mansion. It's where they live. And the final dungeon room, their bedroom, where you have to try to like help her from the darkness that's take. You go to the sky. That's right, Tetra. Even though Tears of the Kingdom gave us a little bit of a taste, we end up kind of seeing what happened. Maybe to the Skyloftians. It's the Uko.
You can have your head canon.
Yeah, like some people believe that the Uko are the Skyloftians, which is horrifying. How did they turn into those weird chicken things?
Did they start having children with the loft wings?
I don't. Maybe they just like fused together like those Dragon Ball Z people.
Maybe.
And then, to top it off, right,
That is
the
weirdest
Arbiter's
here,
Grounds.
though.
Okay, Arbiter's Grounds. Everybody loves that one. You get a friggin' Beyblade.
That's
You
the
get
one
a
I remember the
Beyblade,
most.
And you get a Beyblade, and it's part of the puzzles, and you get to jump across gaps with it, and you're going fast as shit, and it's so damn hype.
Yeah, that's the one I
That's-
remember the most.
That is an item, but that dungeon alone, it's not just Link, it's also Wolf Link. It plays in between both of them. You got to hunt down those giant those Poes as Wolf Link, and it blends really well together. I despise the boss though of that dungeon. Controversial, but yes. Even Hyrule Castle in Twilight Princess is probably one of my favorite renditions of Hyrule Castle, because you go all the way up and it's this big trek and there's some big battles and it's rewarding.
Okay.
You get to the top, you get to the throne room, and it's just wicked fight between both forms, and it's great.
Which boss was this?
Which one? Are you talking about the one I disliked?
With the both forms.
Oh, you have to fight Ganondorf. Well, first you fight Ganon. You fight Beast Form Ganon as Wolf Link. Well, you fight Zelda, possessed Zelda. It's just tennis, and then you fight Ganon in his Beast Form, and you have to be human form, then transform into wolf form, and then as he charges you, Midna grabs him and like knocks him down, and then after that, you get this wicked. The finale is another thing. We'll get to the.
Okay.
They're both really good though. In Wind Waker's defense, the final bosses in both of these games, like the final boss gauntlets, I love both of them.
Can I just say one thing though about Twilight Princess and Wind Waker is that they both have the same Ganon.
Yes, they both have
the same person.
Ganondorf. Yes,
it's the same person, just from different timelines.
Yes.
So my headcanon was always that Toon Link and Twilight Princess Link were technically the same person, just different ends of the timeline.
Actually, I've never considered. I kind of got chills thinking about that. You're right, because Link would have been. Yeah. Wow.
The only big mess up to that headcanon is the fact that it's hinted at that Toon Link doesn't have any relation to the Hero of Time, whereas Twilight Princess Link does. But considering all of his kids probably got drowned.
It's not always about them having a direct lineage, right?
Yeah.
It's more of the essence of the hero.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, do you have any objections to what Wob said about the dungeon design? Was he wrong, right?
I do like the dungeons on Twilight Princess, and they definitely look very pretty.
We're too understanding of each other.
Yeah, you're supposed to be pitted against each other.
Yeah, you could have like the two people who love Zelda the most against each other. It's like, damn.
Yeah. No, remember what I said at the beginning before we started this recording? It's me and Wob talking about Zelda again, and Lance is the guest star.
Yeah. Yeah, here, I'll say it, Wob. Twilight sucks, okay?
Yeah. I have 2 good points against you on that.
Okay.
I can't wait to hear this.
Okay, great. So yeah, we kind of heard about Twilight's dungeon design, and like Wob mentioned, there are some very memorable dungeon moments that really stick out in the series, and people can, even though it's been this many years, I can still recall some of the dungeon design. Now, let's, I know I kind of mentioned it earlier, Wind Waker doesn't have a lot of dungeons, but are they quality, and why?
Okay, we're going to get the 2 I hate the most out of the way, and that would be the Earth Temple and the Wind Temple.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, I'm glad you said that.
So here's my issue with, Earth Temple, cool. It's actually cool because in the Earth and Wind Temple, you get to control Medley and Makar. You get to control them throughout these temples.
They suck.
However, I will say the Earth Temple is slightly worse because of the puzzles you have to do with the Mirror Shield and Medley's harp. Those are the most tedious puzzles in the entire game. They take the most amount of time. You have to
charge her harp with the light
you
power
have to charge,
and shoot it at you. Yeah.
And then you have to move this block this way and move the block this way so you can reflect it on the ceiling again. Then you have to move the block again. It's literally the worst. I've
always hated the light puzzles in Zelda games.
That was literally the worst dungeon in the entire game. Now, let's go on to my more favorite aspects of the dungeons. One is that you constantly were reusing the dungeon items in literally throughout the entire game. You had uses for the grappling hook, which you got in literally the second dungeon of the game. And then my favorite which was the Dragon Roost Island one, and let me just say, the boss fight against the arachnid thing and underneath Valoo the dragon was so cool. Because you literally swung across on his tail to pull the roof down onto the arachnid thing.
Okay, credit where it's due. It's really funny where you actually it like cuts back to the outside the volcano and you see, like, what the heck's going on? Yeah, I actually really liked that.
And I will say the humor with some of the stuff for the design of the characters was really good. But and then my all-time. So I've got two favorite dungeons. We'll start with the one that is with where the Koroks are, the Forest Haven. That dungeon, one, is cool to get into because you have to control the wind to be able to glide over on this giant leaf. And I always thought that it was kind of cool how you got all these wind puzzles, which the Wind Temple did not do very good at, because it's also a hint at the fact that originally there wasn't going to be a forest sage in Ocarina of Time. It was originally going to be a wind sage.
Interesting.
And that's kind of what the Koroks, because they're descendants from the Kakiri, or their evolutionary step. So seeing this design of like more wind puzzles and stuff like that, that I thought was a cool little touch to have that be connected to the Koroks. But my all-time favorite dungeon is the Forsaken Fortress.
No way.
That is my favorite because
like the first one?
Do you know how many times you go back to it?
Like twice?
Like 3,
you go
right?
the first time when you're
no,
with
you
Tetra,
go like 3. You go several times back to that place.
Are you talking about the one where you fight the Helmarok King?
That I believe is round 2 of going there. I think
No
you technically
way.
go there 3 times.
I think it's 3.
Temple of the Ocean King energy here.
Well, no, because
That's what I said.
Well, what's interesting about the first time you go is the first time you go, you have no sword, you can't get caught, you get thrown in prison. You're literally thrown in the dungeon if you get caught. And so you have to sit there and stealth your way throughout the entire dungeon to get to the top. And you have to run around, shut down all these things. And that I thought was interesting for a Zelda game where you don't go in hack and slash. You go in and you have to actually try to hide in barrels and be stealthy about it. And then the second time you go in, now you got your sword, and now you can go the way most people would consider traditional Zelda dungeons, where you go in and hack and slash, and you can take revenge on the people who kept throwing you in prison. It was very cathartic. But I personally love the Forsaken Fortress because I thought the idea of being able to go back to a dungeon, and if you missed anything from your first time around, now you can explore without fear of being caught. Now you could explore and fight everything. Not to mention, I actually really like the fight against the Helmarok King.
Yeah, he's not bad.
The Helmarok King's pretty interesting of a bird.
Yes.
But
okay. Yeah.
This also was the first dungeon this is also the first dungeon you see this version of Ganondorf. Like, technically it's Ocarina of Time's Ganondorf, but it's the first time you see him in this art style.
Do you
and also you get launched in a barrel.
Yeah, the barrel scene was funny.
Do you feel like the Forsaken Fortress had the best boss with like the bird or with something else?
I don't think it had the best boss.
Good
of course,
boss,
this
not
was
best.
Not best, good boss. But because you also fought like Phantom Ganon in this place in one of your goes. I always played tennis with a bottle because I thought it was funny, but
wait, you can play with a bottle?
Tennis.
Yes,
you can play tennis with a bottle. You can do that in Ocarina of Time, too.
Yeah.
You play tennis with a bottle, so I thought that was the funniest thing when I found that out. Because I'm like, why use a sword?
So both games you get to play tennis, which makes them A+. You know, as long as you get to play the tennis game, then it's
games.
It's a Zelda game.
I swear all the games at this point, like, requirement, we must be able to play tennis at least once.
Yeah.
It's funny that just comes from a programming oversight and a link to the past.
Really?
But
when you fight Aghanim in it, you can swing your net and it'll launch his energy balls back at you.
Oh. Okay.
And then in Ocarina of Time, the bottle does the same thing with Ganondorf and Phantom Ganon. And then they programmed it into Wind Waker because
it became an Easter egg joke.
Yeah, now it's an Easter egg.
Okay.
And now people can sit there and die laughing as Toon Link just smacks this ball of light with a bottle.
Nice.
And I know not everyone likes the Forsaken Fortress. I do know that. I personally enjoy it because the times you go through feel vastly different. Because the first time you're getting launched in by the pirates in a barrel from a catapult. Um, the second time you actually go in, and the other times you actually go in with the King of Red Lions. I think 3 times was a little much. I would have been happy with 2 visits because they feel vastly different. Best boss, I do think the final boss of the game is actually pretty good.
It's pretty good.
I do like the last boss, and the boss I mentioned with that's under Valoo is pretty good, but that's partially because of the comedic effects of seeing Valoo outside the mountain.
Yeah.
Goma?
You're like grabbing onto his butt. He's like,
You're grabbing
what?
onto his tail.
Wasn't it kind of like Bongo Bongo in the God Tower, like with the rock hand eyes, the rock hands with eyes?
Not 100% certain.
I think that was the boss in that one. I'm trying to remember all of them.
Yeah.
What was the boss of the Wind and Earth Temple?
I don't know because I tend to try to forget those dungeons.
I blocked those out.
I blocked those dungeons out.
I don't know which one there's a sand boss. I know that. And I don't know which temple that is.
I think that sounds like it would be the Earth.
Yeah, that might be the Earth one. And then I know there's like an electric thing in one of the temples. I think I can't remember all of them, but I do remember.
I blocked out the Earth and Wind temples. And then Wind Waker also though had a bunch of side dungeons that weren't even part of the main story, or that you had to technically go like, I need to go to this dungeon. I can't yet until I go get this thing from this dungeon. And it had a few little branching, and it also had branching paths because you could choose to do Earth or Wind first. And I will say, having to try, because you had to get like the boots to be able to get into the Wind Temple, and then you had to get I think you had to get arrows for the other one. I don't remember.
You had to get the ice and fire arrows to get both the items to get to the Wind and
I will say the ice and fire arrows, let me just say, I thought it was actually kind of cool, the idea that you either melted this island or froze it to be able to get to them. That I thought was a cool little mini trek of a dungeon of sorts, because then it gave you a timer of how long you had.
Okay.
But
nice. Yeah, I know there's a little extra dungeons laid all over the place. They're mini dungeons. They don't typically have bosses, but they're kind of like puzzles, from what I remember.
Yes.
All right.
Both of these games have challenge dungeons.
Oh yeah, the one in Outset Island.
Yeah,
that one's fun.
And then in Twilight, there's the one in the desert, and that's the Cave of Ordeals, or is that the Wind Waker? Is that the HD one?
I don't know.
It's like a Cave of Trials, but they both have
wait.
gauntlets.
I know what you're referring to. Hold on. I'm trying to think because
there's 2 challenge dungeons in Twilight HD.
I know one of them was HD only because you needed the Amiibo.
You can only be Wolf Link.
Okay. So yeah, they both got challenge dungeons and extra dungeons. Do you have any objections to what Tetra said at all, Wob? Or
I'll give credit to Wind Waker with the puzzle designs. They're pretty good. I didn't mind them. They're pretty good Zelda dungeons. But I think there's more negatives with the dungeons overall than Wind Waker than there is positives. I hate the leaf, the Deku leaf. I do. I think it's a stupid thing that uses my magic, and I don't like that. And you glide so slow, even with the wind.
I will give you that. That is
the first thing that happens in Wind Waker is you lose your sword in the first dungeon, and that is one of my biggest gripes with Wind Waker.
Oh, you didn't?
I did not like it. I liked it the first time when I was a kid, but playing it subsequently from there, I think stealth sections in it aren't bad. It's not that it's not serviceable, but it's I don't really want to play a Zelda game to sneak around.
Okay.
Except for Breath of the Wild sometimes, but that's different game mechanics entirely.
Okay. You don't like
Forsaken
playing...
Fortress isn't bad. I like that that's where... Okay, now, the thing that kind of remedies Forsaken Fortress is the Helmerach King, but I think it's carried mostly by Ganondorf. Because, let's be real, this is the game... Wind Waker is the game where Ganondorf is the most of a person.
Yeah. It probably has the most personality.
He has the most... like the physical presence. Like you actually can tell he's there or feel like he's mentioned a lot.
He's
even
like Darth
outside.
Vader.
Yeah. Like you don't
Like when Darth
necessarily have
Vader
to
shows
see
up,
him.
you're scared.
Okay.
And I will
Yeah.
give them credit. They managed to make him look scary with the art style and seem scary
Oh,
with
he's
the art
huge,
style.
too.
That was impressive.
Yeah. Especially because Toonlink's tiny compared to him, so he looks even bigger.
Yeah. So we will probably talk about Ganon even a little bit more in the character section in round 6. But let's go on to the combat and gameplay mechanics. So the question is, which game feels better to play moment to moment? And who did I start with last time? Was it you, Wob?
Yeah, so this one's
Okay.
Tetra.
Okay, Tetra, go ahead and start.
Okay, so combat mechanics, I will say, are definitely a highlight. I actually really like Wind Waker's combat mechanics. One is they introduced the ability to parry in this game, compared to the other ones where it's like you actually had a reaction command button that you'd hit if you were like on the defensive, where you'd spin around your enemy and slash behind.
Yes.
Then there was, as I mentioned before, how some of the dungeon items, you actually use them continuously throughout the game. If you're farming for items for a side quest or something, pull out your grappling hook and hit your enemy. It stuns them and pulls the item they were holding out.
Perfect.
So you end up with it and like guaranteed for some of the items that you necessarily need. Sometimes it does get a little monotonous because most Zelda games do tend to get a little monotonous with the hack and slash. But also they like go throughout teaching you different, because you go to the sword master that is the guy who gives you the sword to begin with. On Outset Island, you can go back to him as soon as you got like some of these Night Crest belts or whatever, which is a treasure you can find in the game, and he'll teach you more little things like obviously the spin tech. There's the hurricane spin.
Stupid, but really fun. It
is really fun. It is so stupid, but
it's so
it is
stupid,
so
but it's
fun.
like really fun. Yeah,
because
I gotta do that one.
Yeah, no, because what it does is it's like the spin attack, except it's weird that they call it hurricane spin and not tornado, because you're a tornado and you spin around and around and can slash a million things, and then you're dizzy afterwards.
Maybe it has to do with the fact that it was first introduced in Wind Waker and it's like ocean themed. Like you don't see tornadoes in the sea, you see hurricanes.
Maybe. Well,
Interesting.
Maybe that's a bit diving a bit too deep. I doubt it.
They probably just thought hurricane spin sounded better than tornado spin.
It does.
Is that an optional move in the game?
Yes, it is an optional move, but it is so much fun if you get it. Plus, it actually does a decent amount of damage. So if you're like swarmed by smaller, not super powerful enemies, like bokoblins or something like that, you can just spin around and take him out real quick.
Yeah, don't use it on a dark nut. He'll just block and then stop you.
And then you're dizzy, and then he'll kill you.
Yeah.
How do you feel about like the items in the game? The wind baton, the hook shot.
It's called the Wind Waker, and it's not called a hook shot. It's called a grappling hook.
Yes. Okay. Thank you for.
Oh yeah. There's not a hook shot in that one at all, is there?
No, the grappling hook kind of replaces it, and I actually like the
grappling hourglass.
There is a hook shot of some sort. You hit them. You hit the targets. You hit the targets with it.
In Wind Waker.
Oh wait, there is. You're right.
You get the grapple hook, then you get the hook shot later.
Yeah. You get the hook shot later. I personally like the grappling hook because this game also introduced the idea of swinging on lights, and like you could also like fully change your direction and whatnot. And with the grappling hook, if there was a bar up above, you could hook onto it, lower yourself or raise yourself however high you need to, swing across and whatnot. Let's see, what other items are there? Oh, there's also the bracers. The bracers were great. Yeah. I don't know if you've ever seen an image of it, but most people tend to like to use the bracers to just zoom in on Toon Link's face.
Okay.
Because they're like, he looks so cute and adorable underneath this boulder that's like 10 times his size.
Right.
or lifting up a giant pig.
Those aren't equipable though, right? Those are just
He just has them.
yeah.
They're not
That's what I thought.
equipable.
It's
He
like
just
the
has
iron, it's
them,
like the
so
silver gauntlets. Yeah.
he can just like pick up this giant boulder, and then
Right,
you
right,
just see him underneath it.
Okay.
The bait and bait bag was interesting. A little annoying at the fact that you had to find the map fish on every square.
Really small fry.
And then, but the Hoy pair that was there was actually kind of cool. What it did was it let you take control of a seagull and fly him around to collect items for you.
Oh yeah, that's right. I remember that. That was kind of cool.
But combat wise, the only real one I tended to use outside of like the bows and arrows, because obviously you use the bow and arrows at point as soon as they give them to you. The only one I tended to really use aside from the sword and the bows was I tended to use the grappling hook to get items off of things.
I was going to say every enemy I run into, I'm grapple hooking.
It also stuns them though, so it actually is useful.
Yeah, it was one of my favorite things. It's just like there'll be like a bokoblin, and just like hit him with the hook,
and get a
keep
treasure
stunning him. Just keep smacking him in the head with the hook. It doesn't do damage, but I just like stunning him. Just like this is for taking.
How about the boat mechanics? How do you feel about the boat mechanics and the fishing, kind of like fishing with the hook? And
I do like how the items did turn different if you use them while on the boat. So the bombs turned into a giant cannon.
Yes.
That you could shoot from. The grappling hook turned into literally like a whole crane popping up to reach down and collect things from the ocean floor. That actually was a fairly smart thing to do so that you could do all this stuff out in the ocean. Sailing mechanics, I kind of touched on this on the exploration. It kind of got tedious. You could literally just point the wind where you wanted to go, set your controller down, and just go. You didn't have to really do anything.
Kind of like Supernova in Final Fantasy VII's Final Battle.
Yeah,
you
had to mention. I was gonna say you did it. Thanks for putting it in there. I was worried that we weren't gonna get it in. So,
therefore, I'll season Supernova. I'll go make a sandwich.
Okay.
But yeah, no, and I did like how the dungeon items had uses while out on the water, aside from the obvious where you're shooting your arrow.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah. So I feel like it's definitely more involved as far like compared to maybe Epona. The boat is a lot more, I would say, involved. Now, Wob, do you have any objection to any of the gameplay mechanics that Tetra kind of laid out, or?
I honestly always find Wind Waker's items to be, and this is a fault of one thing, not just one thing, but like there's one thing that really bothers me, and is that I loved the Tingle Tuner.
Oh yeah, no, I love the Tingle Tuner
because my cousin could bomb me with the Game Boy Advance, and I loved that. And I despise that in the HD version, they made it into a bottle that no longer works.
Oh, a lot of people are mad about how for the Switch 2 they have Wind Waker on the GameCube thing, or it's coming, but you can't use the Tingle Tuner.
Use the Game Boy Advance. No, you cannot. Even though you can put a GameCube controller port onto the Switch, and you can use a Game Boy Advance as a controller. There's ways to make it happen. No.
The Tingle Tuner was mainly used so another person could give you hints or bomb you.
They could heal you and give you like power-ups and stuff and make you hover.
And basically help you.
Wow, that's pretty cool. Cool little mechanic.
And then in the HD version, they decided to make it tied to instead of the Tingle Tuner, it was the Tingle Bottle or something. And instead of any of that, it now gives you messages from the Miiverse, which is now defunct. So it does not do anything in HD anymore. There's no reason to save Tingle besides for him to decipher the maps.
I do miss Tingle Tuner. That was pretty fun, especially when you had someone who could have fun bombing you.
They could even bomb enemies once in a while.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Like 1 out of 5 times, but still.
Still kind of neat.
My cousin would always, because what you can do is you can ping them to your location. So I'd just be like going about, and then it would basically pause the game, and it would zoom. My character would look at where he was, and it would just be Tingle going, "Hey!" And then I'd go back and, "Hey!" And it would look back and I'm like, dude, stop. Let me just do this jump.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, that's cool. I love that when Nintendo does stuff like that. And it would have been great if I had that with my little brother, because we love to play co-op games, and that would have been kind of a nice
that's
little...
what it was. Sadly enough, the Tingle Tuner is the most memorable item from Wind Waker, and it's not feasible nowadays.
Okay.
Which kind of, sucks because a lot of
Nintendo
people
does what
liked
they
it.
want, not what we want.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Stupid.
Okay.
I just find, yeah. So to answer your question though, Lance, I find that Wind Waker has very forgettable items for the most part. The grapple hook stands out, is about it.
Okay.
Of the unique items of the game, I would agree with that. Aside from the Tingle Tuner, because obviously you're going to have your bombs, your arrows. Those are common things in the Zelda game.
I did also to give it credit where credit's due. I did but I feel like it was a missed opportunity because I liked that the grapple hook and the bombs translated to the King of Red Lions, but I felt like it should have been expanded on more with other items. But with the selection that you have in Wind Waker, they really couldn't have done much else unless, I don't know, the bow and arrow became a ballista, but by that point you already had a cannon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I understand that. I felt like to kind of agree with both your points, I felt like Wind Waker had some good items, but it was limited. Like there wasn't a lot of them. So I kind of understand that. Now, and maybe that's why the Tingle Tuner also stood out so much. Now let's go to Wob. What about the gameplay, the combat, the mechanics, just the pacing of the game? Why do you say Twilight feels good to play moment to moment?
Okay, now are we including items in this, or is items a separate category?
No, items is fine. Yeah, you can include it.
Okay, now Wind Waker did start in a good trend with the improved combat mechanics. Now, granted, Twilight Princess had more years to improve upon it, but they did it well. Like with the rolling, the parry, there's like way more combat mechanics, like with the sword fighting in Twilight than there was obviously in Wind Waker. But when you get to one of the wolf statues and the hero of times, Ghost, teaches you moves, you feel like, oh, I can't wait to use. You get finishing moves, you get dot rolling moves, just like Wind Waker. And then there's that quick draw one where you get it in the desert. And as long as your weapon is sheathed and an enemy's approaching you and you press A at the right time, you just whip out your sword and do this wicked spin and just one-hit kill an enemy. It's exciting as crap. That's not even touching on the items either. Yeah, the grapple hook was cool and you could do the swinging animation, but I didn't feel the swinging was a neat thing. I didn't feel like it was essential to every Zelda game, but it fit really well in Wind Waker.
Okay.
But the grapple shot, and then you get a second grapple shot, and you're like friggin' Spider-Man.
That was cool.
You grapple one of the spots, you grapple the next spot. You're like Spider-Man shooting,
literally shooting across the screen.
I loved that. The dual grapple shots was so hype. And then I already touched on the Beyblade, but come on, man, you're zipping like 40 kilometers an hour along these walls, doing wicked jumps across and stuff. You feel like attacking an enemy with the Beyblade? Go ahead. It's not great, but it's still fun.
Yeah.
And then I feel like the one part that is a little lacking is the wolf puzzles in Twilight, because when it comes down to it, they're not bad, but they usually end with just hold trigger, press A to jump. Like you don't actually choose how to jump. Midna just shows you where to jump. And it's just like jump, 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 jump. Like there you go. But I loved being Wolf Link because I loved biting things with it. And then when you do the finishing moves with the pose and you flip in the air and you bite its heart and you rip it out. I loved that. The finishing moves with like normal Link too, nonetheless, where you knock a guy down and he just jumps in the air and just thrusts it down into his chest.
Yeah.
The bow is a bow. The bow and arrow in every Zelda game. Okay, the only time that the bow is improved on in a Zelda game is Breath of the Wild.
Okay.
That's because they made it to third person, which you can do in other Zelda games, granted, mostly with the remakes. But like you can add attachments to the bows. So I've always liked the fire and ice arrows, but I felt that they're so circumstantial that I rarely use them in any of the games.
Aside from probably the puzzles that kind of require them.
That's it, But in Twilight, you get your bow, and then when you get bombs later, you can choose to just switch on the fly to bomb arrows. Don't want to do bomb arrows, but that enemy's far away. You can get that hawk mask that makes it so that when you equip it, you can zoom in like a sniper scope with it. Granted, there is that's not even the last of it. Then you get that Dominion Rod. You ever want to swing a giant Brock'em Sock'em robot? There you go. Swings a giant axe and crushes things.
Wow, you're reminding me of so many things I had forgotten about. Like, I had forgotten about so many of these mechanics, but how many items are in Twilight? Is there a lot?
There's just quite a few more. Because we get the claw shots, we get that big iron ball and chain. Don't get me wrong, that is kind of on the bottom of the scale, but still really fun to just swing around and smack guys with. And you walk super slow. And here's another thing about it too, about that I think Twilight has over Wind Waker. The iron boots in Wind Waker are used for like 2 specific occasions.
Yes.
Whereas in Twilight, when you get the Zora armor, you need those iron boots and you move around freely at the bottom of the lake. Just like you did in Ocarina, or you take those boots off and you swim like a Zora.
That I thought was the coolest thing ever.
It was a great improvement from Ocarina. It was like, that's what everybody hated, was having to switch the iron boots on and off. But in Twilight, and not to mention, you can even use your sword while in water finally. Why did the Hero of Time not know how to swing a sword underwater? He knows they still swing, right?
Well, he also was like a young child, then thrown into an adult body. So
okay, but he can perfectly aim a hook shot.
Not gonna
He
lie.
had a slingshot. He practiced with the slingshot.
Not gonna lie, he could barely swim. Like,
I was gonna say, he could barely swim.
he could barely swim.
He's not swimming. He's walking at the bottom of the water with his boots on.
Yeah. Well, he's, he was a little special, but
and I love how so ship combat in Wind Waker is dreadful. I hated using the cannon. It's so bad. But horse combat on Epona via sword or bow is super rewarding.
I did like how you could use the sword from Epona.
Oh, it was just and you can charge it
Another
and you
thing
hold
the
it
Hero
back
of
while you're
Time
sprinting
couldn't figure
towards,
out.
and Epona's sprinting towards it. You're holding your sword back, you just get close enough, and Link just goes, "Hiya!" and spins it around, and the guy goes flying.
Another thing that the Hero of Time couldn't figure out, how to swing from the back of a horse.
right. Yeah, no, he couldn't do a lot of stuff. But his ancestor, or his not ancestor, his descendant could. And he was there to teach his descendant, so that's partly,
He was
there
to teach him how to use a sword. Yeah.
So, yeah. So, do you have any objections to any of the gameplay or mechanics or any of the things that Rob said?
I will say that when I first played Twilight Princess, I have never actually played the GameCube version. I've only played the Wii.
Oh, okay. That changes a lot.
That's the one we had.
That changes a lot.
Because that was the one we had. But I'll be honest. But I'll be honest, I actually still really like the gameplay mechanics because whereas Wind Waker felt more button mashy like a lot of Zelda games, the ability to be able to physically swing your sword was actually really cool to me. Because I was like 11 when the game came out. So swinging the Wiimote around to stab things, I thought was the coolest thing. So I will give you that. That was, even though I never played the GameCube version, which I'm pretty sure is what the version you were talking about.
GameCube version is the only canon version.
I played the Wii one, so being able to swing the sword was kind of cool.
They are very different. I played the GameCube version as the one I beat, but I also tried playing the Wii version, and I couldn't get it down. I had a really hard time figuring out how to do it. Yeah,
I was stuck at the fishing part. My Wii remote would not work.
Me going so I figured it out pretty well, but I never beat it took a while for me to eventually beat Twilight Princess.
Yeah, to be fair, the young girl that lived there, I was living at that family's house, and the young girl that was their daughter, she was like maybe 8. She could do it. She could do it just fine. She knew how to do all the moves.
Probably because it's the version we learned on, probably.
Yeah. I don't know. I beat Skyward Sword on the Wii perfectly fine.
Well, that also had Wii Motion Plus thingies on the controller and stuff like that, so it improved the motion controls, but I did perfectly fine with the Wiimote and nunchuck.
You know what, Lance? It's just mad because bad.
Yeah, it is. It is mad because bad.
There's the second reference that has to always happen every episode, right?
Yeah, right. I wonder if we've missed one. I'm not sure, really sure if we
I
missed
don't think
it.
that
Don't
one
forget,
got.
there's a free tier to dip your toes in.
I I do think we missed it in the Cozy Games episode.
Oh,
We
I
can do
guess
the
I wasn't
Mad Good
there.
Bad.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
Really
all
stuck
right.
in there.
So combat and gameplay mechanics, they both had definitely different styles of gameplay. Some similarities because they are Zelda games, but a lot of differences. Now let's go into. I was going to do these as separate categories, but I actually think they kind of belong together, and that's story, tone, themes, and characters and companions. And the reason I think they belong together because you're going to get a lot of those characters in the story, and so yeah, which characters are the best and which narrative hits the hardest, would you say? And I guess we'll start with I keep on forgetting who we started with. Like
It's Wob's turn.
Okay,
I'm
it's
surprised he has not. I'm surprised Wob has not mentioned Midna so many times yet.
right.
All right.
Okay.
have a white
Wait.
The thing is, we'll get to her.
Eventually.
Yeah.
Twilight Princess, as I mentioned in the beginning, the story is very dark and somber, which I have to agree with Tetra. I wish that Majora's Mask had hit a little more on the head because it felt more like it. But Wind Waker had quite a handful of characters, and I will say that I think that the Ganondorf in Wind Waker is better portrayal, but I think that the Ganondorf in Twilight is more scary because he's just this big, he's been trapped and basically tormented, and he's ready to come back for blood.
And as mentioned, they are the same character.
Yes, just different walks of life.
Timeline versions. Yes. Different walks of
But
life.
Twilight Princess also succeeds with the amount of side characters. Like Ordon Village has so many. There's Russell, there's his wife, Tallow, Mallow, and don't come on, Mallow Mart. You hear the song in your head right now. You know it.
I do. I do hear that song.
There's the monkeys, even though you don't think that they're like characters at first, but then they become like this little tribe thing. And then what was the bird? There was the bird that sells you like lamp oil and gets mad at you if you try not to pay, and he attacks you and takes your
yeah,
rupees.
that guy.
There's so many. There's Shad. He's the guy that tries to get you to the desert. I want to say it's like Barbas, but no, that's from Elder Scrolls. I think it's Darbus is the Goron chief. The Zora domain looks like a friggin' Zora kingdom, and it's awesome.
Okay.
There's just Ganondorf in this one feels like a tyrannical leader that's ready to seize the kingdom. And I love that. Zelda had a very minimal role, but she was still there. You know, she still felt pivotal. I mean, she's the Legend of Zelda.
Right.
And then, oh God, what was her name? There's the big busty lady that loves Link.
What?
I know exactly who you're referring to. I cannot remember her name.
Lance,
either.
you know exactly who I'm talking about.
Wait, now, do I have to
Thelma.
Google big busty lady Twilight Princess?
No, her name was Thelma. I had to look it up. Okay, so it's fun. Okay, now just little side note. Thelma is like one of the guys at Nintendo's his favorite character.
Okay,
He's like,
I'm sure I know why.
If she was actually the owner of a bar, I'd go to that bar all the time. She just seems super nice. It's like, yeah, buddy, that's why. She's super nice. Yeah, you have beautiful eyes.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I know who Telma is now. Yep, got it.
Yita. I mean, there's so many good characters in Twilight, and what I like about Twilight is since the world feels so connected, the story feels like a natural flow of progression. Like there is some little roadblocks here and there, but I think that's what separates it. Why Twilight's so much better than Wind Waker for me is because there isn't that disconnect from island to island. It's not just all spaced out from big like a bunch of water. Whereas like, oh, I'm going to this island now. Like you still do that in Twilight. You still have to travel to it, but you know which ways to go because everything's connected.
Okay. And
then we get to the goat of the entire thing, Zant. Just kidding. He kind of bothers me.
Okay.
The Usurper King. He's an interesting enough character, but I think he plays the role of puppet very well.
Okay.
But like he's horrifying when you first meet him because like his lips are like stitched shut, but like they open enough so he can talk and it's super creepy. I was expecting him to look really scary, with his like helmet on, and then when his helmet came off, it's just like, oh, that's just like a guy. It's just like a Twilight guy.
He's like just a dude trying to enjoy a weekend, you know?
Yeah. just trying to overthrow both kingdoms, Twilight and the light, you know.
Casually.
And then we get the character that is, of course, Midna. Now, of course, I played this when I was a very impressionable and hormone-riddled young teen. So seeing the saucy little thin, like little short, little thick vixen, like she's basically berating me, and I'm just like, don't talk to me like that, but like, you know, do.
Okay.
She's like, you big stupid dog, let's go, and I'm just like, yes, mommy.
She kind of does it in a flirty way, so I understand it.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
They do. She does. She winks and like gives you these like sideways glances, and they clearly meant to make her seem way saucier than she probably should have been, especially as a companion character.
Yes.
But like it fits her because she's the opposite of Zelda in so many ways. But she's similar, you know?
Zelda's more reserved, I think, when it comes to that kind of thing. So,
Midna's growth in the story and how she just becomes more and more at terms with like losing what she had and realizing that there's more to just doing, like just saving her kingdom. There's doing the right thing, because like essentially Zelda like was ready to sacrifice her kingdom for Midna's kingdom in a way. And she's like, I just wanted to save my kingdom, but now that I see that you were willing to do this, maybe I should like focus on saving everybody too. Yeah. She's like the begrudging like anti-hero, you know?
Yeah, I think she kind of, at least from what I got, she's almost there by necessity more than like wanting to, but she's a good person. But she starts out trapped there with you and then uses you, and then you're a means to her end. But as the story goes on, after Zelda sacrifices herself in a means to like let Midna live, that's when Midna starts to change her attitude and realize, in order to save my world, we have to save this one. So she becomes a little more selfless with the realization. Yeah. Okay.
And then Wind Waker's just, my sister got stole.
Okay. And then as far as the story goes, is it a typical Zelda story, or would you say like it's different?
It's different in the means that it's more mature in some aspects, that's for sure.
Okay.
It kind of handles death a bit too, which is a bit dark. Like you even go to talk to the dead Zora Queen, and like you straight up just stab a dude in the chest. I mean, Wind Waker's a little more hardcore with the finale.
Yeah.
That's one hell of a finale though.
It is.
Both finales are really good.
Yeah, they are both good.
I think Twilight gets the one up on me because it's just like the horseback and having Zelda. I mean, Zelda's in both of the battles, but
yeah, the themes to both of these games are quite different. One's very light and lighthearted until certain parts, and very colorful and thematically it's a very light game. The other's very dark, a little bit more serious most of the time, some comedy, but not as much. And it's kind of, they're opposites in a lot of ways. But I
like Twilight the most of the 3D old style games because it's just the perfect mix of adventure, story, items, dungeons, and characters. And it's not just because of Midna, but I can see why people think that.
Are you sure it's not because of Midna?
I mean, it's a very strong deciding factor.
What if Midna,
okay,
let me ask the follow-up question. What if Wind Waker had Midna?
I think she'd look really cartoony and really funny, actually.
I actually think she might look decent in their art style, actually.
I think, I think she would. I don't know about Twilight
it would look
Midna.
a little weird compared to,
I think
Imp Midna would probably
look fine,
but
I think Twilight Midna wouldn't look nearly as good. Like, when you, like, that... Don't get me wrong, you save the kingdom at the end of Twilight, but when you see Midna's true form at the end, that's the real reward.
Okay, yeah, I do remember kind of seeing her at the end. But
like Princess Daphne in Dragon's Tale.
Yeah, my favorite. Thanks to Tetra, I got to experience that one.
Dragon's Lair?
Yeah.
I was like, 2 out of 10.
No, I did not give it a 2.
On a good day, 3.
It was the arcade version, first of all. The home version's better. Okay, yeah. So, do you have any objections to kind of what Wob said? Do you think he's over exaggerating the story, the themes? Do you think he's
No, I will say, in my opinion, the story and themes of Twilight Princess are a lot darker, and the tones for both games, as you said, are vastly different. At least you would think so, unless you start doing like all the random side quests in Wind Waker.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, like the
seeing
one
more
where you
of how
make
the
that
world-
guy broke.
Yeah, and then you have to help the homeless girl.
Yeah, and then you have, right. That was messed up.
That was messed up.
I always felt bad about that.
And
I
then
don't.
the person who was poor before suddenly
He
becomes
becomes like a pompous jerk, like a rich jerk.
yeah, even though he was kind of creepy and whatnot when you first met him.
Okay. I don't know. I don't really know about this side quest, but okay.
We'll get into that when I start talking about the
Okay.
characters.
Great. So no strong objections from what you're saying.
No.
Okay. So what about Wind Waker's story, tone, themes, and characters? What makes it so great?
So, Wind Waker's story at first seems a little lighthearted and a little weird. But it actually is a bit darker than you would think, because you do see like islands destroyed by Ganondorf. There's an island that shows what happens when he goes after someone and doesn't get what he wants. The island's completely decimated. And let's start with the top characters with Ganondorf, since that is the same, technically the same person as the one from Twilight Princess. This Ganon, while not immediately scary, he's more menacing, I would say, than like straight up scary. Like you can
Like
feel his
calculated.
like calculating. And I think the biggest difference as to why is because I think technically Ganon in Twilight Princess, he only got released more recently than the one from Wind Waker. The one in Wind Waker got released earlier, and he's part of the reason why the world sunk. So by the time you fight Ganondorf at the end of the game, he is more tired. Like his last lines as you stab him in the forehead,
which is metal as hell,
is "I can feel the wind,"
which is like harrowing.
It's so creepy. But it's also, though, with that, even with just that last line, you kind of get the feeling like this Ganon, he's fine to die. Like, he is okay with it because he's more tired, because he tried again to get the Triforce, didn't get it, and he's been around for so long. He's exhausted, as opposed to Twilight Princess Ganon, who is very much wanting to kill everyone.
Oh yeah, he's out for blood.
He's out for blood.
Yeah.
I also will say, this has probably my favorite Great Fairy design of the entire series.
Yeah, they're really good fantasy aspect, but I really like the large lady representation in Breath of the Wild.
I know everyone's like that, but the Great Fairies actually seem like fairies.
Yes, yeah, this is more Great Fairy, but I really appreciate the large lady representation.
I can see that, but I personally like the fact that they made them fairies, and the queen of the fairies that you can meet in the game is a child, looks like a child, and she has a doll of the other great fairy what the other great fairies look like.
So do they age back?
Apparently.
Maybe they're just like when they start out as great fairies, they're just like old great fairy.
And then so the entire story of the game gets kicked off because of two characters. Link's sister Ariel, which cool, Link actually has a sibling in this game, and you actually see his family. Like, he has a family.
Hey, he had an uncle in Link to the Past.
And Link to the Past, yeah, but it's like, but this one was like his grandma and his little sister. Yeah. And so it was partially because of Ariel, and also partially because of my favorite character in the game, Tetra.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Nico.
Oh, that's right.
Tetra.
Yeah. Okay.
So because what happened is literally the story gets kicked off because of the fact that Ganon is looking for girls with pointed ears because he's trying to find.
Oh no, not blonde hair.
No, it doesn't have to be blonde hair, because one of the girls doesn't have blonde hair who got caught.
Yep.
Yeah,
and
it's just
so what
pointy
happens
ears.
is Tetra got snatched off her pirate ship, and by the Helmarok King, and the pirates are shooting cannons, and knocks her out of the bird's grasp, and he drops her onto Outside Island, and Link goes to save her. This is my favorite version of Zelda, straight up. She has a personality, she has sass, she is hilarious at times, considering her idea to get you into the Forsaken Forest is, as previously mentioned, launching you from a catapult. And then she's like, oh, sorry, I didn't mean to aim that high. Whoops.
Yeah, I agree. This is probably the biggest personality that Zelda has in the series that I've played. So
Oh, you're lucky you said you've played.
that I've played. Yeah.
So they started to give Zelda a personality with Ocarina of Time. She does have a slight personality in that one. This was like the biggest shift. And the biggest difference is this Zelda was not raised as a princess. She was raised as a pirate. And so she can handle herself, and she helps Link, even though trying to make it not obvious to the rest of her band of pirates. Mind you, I actually also really like the pirates. The pirates are hilarious. Considering you're sitting there going like, I have to guess this password, dang it. And then Nico just wants you to play a game with him for treasure every single time you run into him.
Yeah, it's kind of sad.
And Nico's just like, I want a friend.
Yeah, he's like, I need someone to hang out and check out these cool courses I've done. Do you want to come down and do it?
Yeah.
And then he gives you bombs because of it.
Yeah.
I also will say that this version of the game also, you see the biggest connection at times to characters from Ocarina of Time. So, for instance, the Great Deku Tree in this game, many people theorize, is the Great Deku Tree from the Sprout from Ocarina of Time that you saved.
Oh, okay.
Jaboon is probably either directly he's Lord Jabba Jabu or is his descendant. Some people think Valoo is, considering he's on Death Mountain, is probably in some way related to Volvagia.
Okay.
This was also the game that introduced the Doritos to the world.
Yes.
Whoop, whoop. Rivali, my goat.
I will say that I also really like the fact that the Rito are the postal people, the postal workers of the game.
Really nice.
It makes sense.
Complete with if
really
you
nice world building.
Complete if you go into their home when you go into Dragon Roost Island, you can literally see one who has the face of the postman from Majora's Mask, the running man from Ocarina of Time. And then the game
awesome.
also, the third character partially responsible for Link setting off on his quest was the postman of Outside Island, Quill. Because he's the one who's like, he just saved you, you better help him go to the Forsaken Fortress.
Yeah, I always felt like he should have had a stronger presence in the story.
I honestly thought he was so cool.
Yeah, it's same. Like, that's the thing. I really liked him, and I thought he would be a lot more in the game. And
the Rito do come to your aid a few there's an instance where they do come to your aid later on, where they kind of fish you out of the ocean, as you're just sitting there floating in the water.
Companion characters.
There's not really one companion character in this game, because you end up with various different people. Like you end up with Medley as a companion for a dungeon. You end up with Makar as a dungeon. This is also the game that introduced the Koroks.
Boo!
I miss the Kakiris so much.
Koroks suck.
Okay.
And then there's just so many different side characters that you can come across.
Yeah.
Like Snotnose was Bubble Kid from Outside Island.
Yeah.
I remember him.
Addendum, I like Koroks in Wind Waker. I don't like Koroks in Breath of the Wild 2.
I still would prefer the Kokiri, personally.
Prefer Kokiri, yes. But if I had to pick, then Wind Waker Koroks are acceptable. But I despise Koroks in Breath of the Wild 2.
And I also will say I really like the guy who does the bomb mini game where he just goes kaboom, or he'll pull up a little cardboard cutout
of the princess.
The thing is you're right. Twilight Twilight Princess kind of took what Wind Waker started and basically made it better at times. Though I do love all the different personalities that you come across in Wind Waker, like the bomb guy Salvatore. There's Tot, the guy who's sitting there dancing. You learn basically the sun song from him.
Yeah. Oh.
There's the old creepy man whose daughter you end up saving, and then he becomes a pompous rich guy. And then there's the rich guy who becomes a homeless guy at the end.
Who's really humble too, by the way.
He was actually very nice.
Yeah. Yeah, he was like, you know what? I may have lost my money, but at least my daughter's back. I'm happy with that. And I'm like, the other guy's such a dick now. Like, what?
And then his daughter Maggie is in love with a bokoblin.
Oh yeah, you're right.
You know what character I remember all the time is that guy. That guy's like, what is he? He says, "Welcome." That guy.
Oh, Beetle.
I remember.
Was, I think the
introduction of Beetle.
The introduction of Beetle on his boats.
Oh man, Beetle's so good though.
Every time I walked into his boat, like I would say that every time. I'm like, I cannot not say what he says. I have to say it.
It's hilarious.
Every time.
I just had to buy something because I felt so bad. Because like he always like looks down when you walk out and he looks so depressed. And I'm just like, my guy, like I spend as much money as I can.
Also, Link's grandma gives you the best one of the best consumable items in the game. So I will say his grandma, after you leave, if you come back to Outset Island after you get the King of Red Lions and the sail, she is the saddest person imaginable. Like, she has such a sad little theme playing in the house now. Like, it is heart-wrenching. And she's sickness.
Yeah.
And she's sick. So if you come and bring her a bottled fairy and drop it, it'll heal her. And you make her better. And then in return, she gives you the elixir soup, which is the best consumable item in the game.
Yeah, it really is.
And you can just get a free refill.
Nice. It's kind of sad. Yeah, that is a one big leg up on Twilight because you just go to your grandma and get this double damage soup. Whereas in Twilight, in order to get it, you have to go all the way through the 50 floor gauntlet to get more of it.
Yeah. Oh, sheesh, that's horrible.
But as mentioned, the grandma's story is so sad because here's the thing: is that, as mentioned, while technically other games have given Link like an uncle or something, this is the first time you really see like him with like a proper family unit of sorts.
I actually think that's the only other.
Yeah, because you see the effects of him leaving.
Yeah.
To go after
Arrow.
His little sister, yeah. Okay. And it's so sad.
I mean, one grandkid gets kidnapped, the other one goes to save it. Save the other one.
And she has no one else.
Yeah.
Poor granny.
It's literally so heart-wrenching.
And then she's just carrying by giving you double damage post, like full healing soup.
She's like, I can help. Here, have some soup to make you feel better.
Okay, so there's a lot of, I think Wind Waker has a lot of good characters, memorable characters, really, it does. A lot of characters that you just are hard to forget because they have such big personalities. Twilight, I feel, has some of those too. Maybe not as many, but it does have the character, like the staple characters. The main characters are very, I would say, they have great personalities. So, is there any other things we should cover on story themes and characters?
There's one thing I forgot about exploration that I should have probably mentioned about a design choice in Wind Waker.
What's that?
When you go under the waves and go to Hyrule Castle, everything is frozen in time, which is the coolest thing ever. And you go down underneath the statue of the Hero of Time. And you go into where the Master Sword is housed. The stained glass windows are of the sages from Ocarina of Time. And then
you reminded me of my other point, right?
And then as soon as you pull the sword out, time moves forward. The world comes back into color, and then you have to go kill everything upstairs,
which was very challenging.
Oh yeah, no, that was actually a really challenging,
a really difficult spot.
And let me just say, though, it made you have to strategize and prioritize.
There should not have been like 3 dark nuts up there. It was insane.
Was that when you were in the castle underground or like under the sea?
Yes. Under the sea, yes.
Under the sea. Sorry,
That's
Disney, don't
literally what I was
copyright
thinking.
us.
Under the sea. Now we got copyright struck. Great, awesome. No,
Demonetized.
Disney coming after us. Yeah, no, that was a good, memorable moment. That was one of my favorite moments from Wind Waker. Was the underground Hyrule castle scene or like segment. Now, is there any like kind of objections you have to any of the characters or the story that of Wind Waker, Wob?
No, it's just Wind Waker feels a lot more whimsical, which is fair, and it's I don't feel like the story's disconnected. It kind of feels like they're pointing you in weird direction.
I will say both games did do well with the tone they were going for.
They did, yeah. Like Wind Waker has a lot of more strengths than negatives. It's just like if I'm comparing Twilight to Wind Waker, like this is the time where I have to look at the cracks in the hole, like in between, and go from there.
It's hard to.
One more thing I had forgotten also is just when Ganondorf. So they're the same Ganondorf, but they're basically variants, right? Like they're different timelines. But the Ganondorf in Twilight Princess, when he was sentenced to execution, the sages like pinned him to a rock and stabbed him with the sword of the 7 sages. Now, this guy comes back later on and he uses that exact sword as the final weapon in the game. He's like, he takes the sword that they had tried to execute him with, rips it out, and he's like, all right, now I'm gonna kill you.
He's very hardcore, I would say.
And he uses the sword that they were trying to execute him with as his main weapon.
Yeah. He's like super hardcore.
That's metal as hell.
Yeah, very metal. Yeah, interesting. Okay. Now we're gonna go on to, we got 2 more rounds technically. The rounds, the next round is about how did the games age? Because in Retro Reloaded we do a lot of retrospectives. So let's talk about how the games aged.
This one's pretty easy. Wind Waker aged really well. Twilight Princess is good, but didn't age out.
Yeah, they both kind of, because it was Wind Waker's art style that helped it age better.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like the story of Twilight still holds up really well. But if you go for the HD version, which is a big ask for people because it is Wii U, but like you want the HD version of Twilight, whereas you can play the GameCube version of Wind Waker and it's still perfectly serviceable. It's a little lengthier because it's a little bloated from the Triforce quest.
And from without the fast sale.
Yeah, but like it's still perfectly serviceable. Like you can load it up on the GameCube and play through the game fine. On Twilight, though, you kind of want to go for the HD one.
Do you think it's just because of the graphics, or
No, it's also to do with the tedium. Like, don't get me wrong, using the Wind Waker to switch directions of the wind is a bit tedious, but as to give Tetra the point on that one, you do get a teleport, but the teleport in Twilight isn't nearly as accessible. You don't just play a song and teleport. You have to be in your wolf form, then interact with Midna, then choose to warp.
And you had to have gone to that place, whereas Wind Waker, not necessarily, you don't have to.
Okay.
And in Wind Waker, one of the whole points is, like, when you get the song, is that you haven't been to this island, but that's where the Great Fairy
Queen of the Great Fairies is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, I remember seeing that on the map. I'm like, I was never at this island. What the hell is this? And then you go there and she's like, hi, I'm the Queen of the Great Fairies. I'm like, oh.
And gives you a great upgrade.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I didn't realize that Twilight Princess had so many little, I guess,
there's
aging.
another pretty bad thing in Twilight on GameCube, and we both of the original ones. Your sword can hit the wall. Now, This might sound really strange to say, but like mid-swing, after you hit a guy, your sword can still hit the wall, and Link will recoil. So like you can do it in other Zelda games, but like it'll just make a clinking noise. But there's an actual there was an animation when Link hits something hard, like a wall, that he would like bounce back.
Okay.
In the HD version though, they cut that out.
Okay.
So like if you swing in a narrow passage or too close to a wall, sometimes you won't hit the enemy because you'll just hit the stupid wall.
Oh, that's annoying. I didn't know that. Okay. Not a great advocate for your side of the the aisle, but
Yeah, it's just like credit where it's due.
Yeah.
In this one, unfortunately, like
That's okay.
Twilight HD, I would prefer over Wind Waker HD, but that's just the best of the both of them, right?
Okay.
But like, if you go back and reload them on old consoles, I have to bow down.
Okay. Yeah. And then Tetra, did you have anything to say about aged?
No, we kind of were just kind of going with it, just like Wind Waker probably overall just aged better.
Yeah, you just got to agree on when one thing has the leg up.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, when I went and played it back a couple years ago, there was a very few things that really aged in Wind Waker, and one of them was the Triforce quest.
Everyone can agree the Triforce quest
It's so
sucked.
bad.
That
It
is
so bad. I'm so glad the HD remake fixed it.
Yeah,
So
and
it wasn't as bad.
they realized it was an aged mechanic, and so I think
They shortened it.
Yeah, they realized it. So that was it. That's a win for the Wind Waker as far as HD goes.
I'm glad though that, because that's how a remake of a game should be, in my opinion, is where they fix some of the issues that were very plainly obvious in the original. Like in Wind Waker, the main issue was the Triforce, or how tedious sailing could be, so they gave you an item for sailing and made the quest shorter.
You know, it's funny. There's going to be that one person out there, like that one Redditor, who's going to be like, they just shortened the game and the Triforce quest actually wasn't that bad. And like, they're just going to
They still made it so that Tingle essentially robbed you, but...
Okay, you know what? When we talked about characters, I wanted to talk.
No.
I wanted you guys to bring up Tingle. I was hoping somebody would.
Pass.
Wind Waker Tingle is a scumbag.
I just
Yeah,
I
and you
despise Tingle
rescued him.
every iteration of
And
Tingle.
you
I despise
rescued
it.
him
Oh my
from
gosh.
jail. He probably got put in jail because he was trying to scam someone.
I know, like that's a good question though. Is that what he was doing? But like, scamming somebody doesn't really seem like something to be locked up for.
Also,
He must have been doing some grand larceny or something.
I will say that with Tingle and the Triforce quest, you had... Like, this actually made it so that it was kind of mandatory to try to find the Great Fairies because you needed the biggest wallet.
Yeah.
Also, both HD versions gave bigger wallets.
Great. That's always good. In Zelda games,
That
it's
also
like,
made the Triforce quest so much shorter.
I have a theory though, and my personal theory is that so in Wind Waker, a bunch of kids go missing, right? As we touched on, like a bunch of girls. And Tingle definitely seems like the kind of person that did it, so they probably...
Oh, you think it's Tingle?
They're just like, yeah,
Okay,
dude,
But
this guy's
you
this
did
guy's
see
stealing
the guy who was wandering around being a creep and following you when you went to Windfall Island first, right?
talking about how his daughter was stolen though.
Yeah, that's the kind of sad thing, but he's very creepy about how he goes
He
about
really
it.
is. Yeah, but like I'm just saying, a bunch of kids go missing in a town. I'm looking at the guy in the
unitard.
unitard first,
Right.
wearing like a bright red like outside underwear. I'm
That's the
zoning in
guy.
on him.
That's
Well, I will say this does beg the question of I'm like, so is Tingle is he just still just the old man? Like, how old is Tingle? He doesn't look very old in this version of the game.
You want to know something funny? They actually touch topic on that in Tingle's Rosy Rupee Land.
Oh no, what they do?
Essentially, I've only watched videos on it.
Of
but
course.
essentially, Tingle is a title that people are given. Like you take the mantle of Tingle.
Okay.
And the first one to think just thought he was going to be a fairy.
I guess. I don't know. Tingle is way more popular overseas in Japan.
Yeah, from what I heard,
I
he is
despise
so
Tingle.
popular.
I thought it was ironic they kept bringing him back from Majora's Mask. I was like, why did they keep...
I more of think it's just funny. Like,
It
for
is.
instance, he's funny when you use the Tingle Tuner. Because obviously you can bomb people, but
Yeah, he's comedic relief, I think, for the game.
yeah.
Yeah. So we're gonna in the final round. It's kind of a free for all. You're just basically saying everything bad about the other game and everything good about your game that you didn't like, and it's just kind of your final thoughts. Like, you just kind of free. What do they call it in rap when you free form? What do they call that? Freestyle. You just freestyle.
Yes.
Okay. So again, I forgot who went last, but I'm a terrible host. What is going
I feel
on?
like the last 2 rounds we literally have just been collaborating.
Yeah, we kind of have.
The last round was kind of in the middle. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like, you know what, Wob, go first, because I think you'll be a little bit more mean, and then Tetra can retaliate on your
Probably,
on your meanness.
I'm like, I typically am like, I don't like beans.
Yeah, I know. You're nice. So
I despise Tingle. I don't like the King of Red Lions. I wish that he was something other than the king. I kind of liked Tetra as Zelda. It was a kind of cool thing. Kind of felt weird at the part where she became a princess, though. It kind of felt strange.
Okay.
Yeah. Ganondorf is cool. I do like Ganondorf in that, but I kind of feel like his battle is a bit of a chump. And his, like, puppet form boss is one of the most ass bosses in that game. And the fact that I have to fight one of the most ass bosses in the game right before the climax just chafed me.
Okay.
I do like the HD upgrades of Wind Waker, but I think that the HD upgrades of Twilight are better.
Yeah.
Exploration in Wind Waker is fun the first time. I don't really feel like going back to many places after I kind of just get the map, unless I have to go back to them. And the sheer amount of charts in that game is just, it's like the Korok seeds, but just, it's like Korok seeds light. Like there's like tower charts, there's ship charts, there's
Triforce charts.
the Triforce, that's part of the story, which was just dumb. The fact that you have to go through, find the chart, then bring it to Tingle, then find the Triforce piece, and they're just sitting in the ocean.
And basically have him rob you of money in the process.
It was so grindy. It was terrible. You hit a friggin' roadblock. The pacing just stops dead right there. You just say, okay, go find these charts. Where are they? One's on a ghost ship. Well, how the hell do I get to the ghost ship? Talk to a fish. I don't fucking know. And I wish that was an exaggeration, but that's not.
No, it's literal. It's literal.
And he tells you how.
Okay.
And you have to wait for the proper moon and the proper spot.
Yep.
And the items, that stupid Deku leaf. That's like, I'm. It's probably the reason we got the glider in in Breath of the Wild and Tears, which is, it's great. Well, actually, no, you would have gotten that from Skyward. I think Skyward Sword's
Sailcloth.
But the sailcloth is useless, and I think it's the stupidest thing. It should have just automatically done it for me when I get close to the ground. But whatever.
It does.
No, you
It
just hit the
automatically
ground.
opens. No, I've had it where
Okay,
it
no,
just
I'm
opens.
I'm talking about when you're flying in Skyloft and you jump to an island, you'll just hit the ground. It's one of my favorite things to do.
never
Just
had
make
that
Link belly
happen.
flop. It's hilarious.
I gotta play Skyward. I've actually never. I tried to play it, but I didn't have like the right proper controller and stuff, so it was like just horrible.
It's on
I
the
got
Switch now.
yeah, I gotta play the
version
Switch.
is
I gotta play the
so
Switch.
much better.
Oh, it
And
is so much.
It's
It has button controls.
it's so good.
Yeah. Okay.
Back on topic.
Twilight is just. If I wanted to go on a vacation, I'd go to an island in Wind Waker. If I wanted to live my life in a fantasy world, if I was stuck in one, I would pick Twilight. There's dogs you can pick up and just walk around with. They're adorable. And cats that you can go say hi to. And they meow at you. And that's all they need to do. And then you can turn into a wolf. And you
one
can
of them
talk to them.
steals a fish from you.
And one of them does steal a fish from you. But that cat, if you talk to them in Wolfling form, he's just like, hey, I was hungry. I love eating food. It's like, yeah, man, I feel it. I feel it.
Sounds like a cat.
Literally.
Yep. Yeah, I do remember the cats. People like gather them together, and like I don't know, it's like a little thing they do.
Oh, yeah, you go to Kakariko Village, and after you get the bokoblins, you end up the whole village is overrun by cats, and you can go talk to them. I loved it.
Okay, great. Any other final points?
Midna.
Okay. Okay.
Knew where that was going.
Yeah. Midna. I'm sure there's Rule 34. I'm sure maybe Wobeeyert has experienced that. We're not going to go too far into that, but yeah.
I will neither confirm nor deny those accusations, but I feel you can make an educated guess.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I got it. But yeah, no, Midna is saucy to say the least. Okay. Tetra, what about Twilight Princess? Like, why does that game kind of suck? Like, what sucks about it?
So I think part of what made it suck, at least for me, was, as we discussed earlier, is I played on the Wii. I've never touched the GameCube version. I've never had a copy of the GameCube version. So that probably colored my idea of it a little bit.
Hey, how'd you like that steak? Oh, I burnt it.
No.
What?
I don't know.
Somebody gives you a really nice steak and you burn it, and then you're just like, oh yeah, it was awful. You burned the steak yourself.
but I also I only really played through it once, and that was a really long time ago.
Yeah.
Partially because I thought that some parts of it were not necessarily the greatest. I did like how they improved the swimming thing from like Ocarina of Time, where you could not swim to save your life for whatever reason.
No, it's
You
just
just
up or
drowned.
down.
You literally went up or down or drowned.
Up or down or drown.
um, and whatnot like that. It did have some memorable characters. But I think that Wind Waker did a little better with making the side characters a little bit more memorable, because Twilight Princess had like the main cast of characters that you typically were interacting with the most. But Wind Waker had like all these little side stories. Like there's one guy who you literally are taking a picture of for the pictograph dude, and you find out that he's sending a love letter to another woman in the town and stuff like that. And it's actually kind of sweet and cute, and seeing all these different things. And I also didn't. I know that part of the reason why Wind Waker got such a bad rap is because people were expecting the sort of art style Twilight Princess got. And that was a big part of why no one really cared much for Wind Waker, though nowadays people are like, here's Toon Link. See him? I shall protect him with my life.
Yeah.
One of my biggest gripes about Twilight Princess is finding out that they originally were planning to have Sheik in the game.
Yeah,
that's my biggest gripe right there, because that would have given Zelda more of a presence. Zelda could have done a lot more things, and that is also how they had a model for Brawl, for Smash Bros. Brawl already, was because they had the model and everything already animated for and drawn out for Twilight Princess. They just didn't use it.
Wow.
And that is easily my biggest gripe with that game, is like, missed opportunity.
Yeah. Still, at least she got into Smash, and where's Tetra?
Oh yeah, no. In my opinion, what they should have done is, since you have Toon Link, they should have done Sheik and Zelda type thing, but you had Toon, Zelda, and Tetra.
That would be creative.
Because Tetra's playstyle would be very
Not
different.
bad.
Because Tetra's playstyle would be very different, because Sheik is mainly martial arts and like ninja. Tetra would have she'd also probably be another sword fighter, or give her a pistol, because she is a pirate.
Like in Hyrule Warriors, where she has like the water pistol and the cutlass.
Yeah, do stuff like that. That, in my opinion, is missed opportunity for Smash Bros. Right there.
True.
And I personally I loved all the side characters in Wind Waker way better. They were easily my favorite part of the game, and as mentioned, Wind Waker was the first game I actually went and played through. Sure, the Triforce quest sucked. Everyone hates it. Everyone can at least agree that is the worst part of the game, where Tingle basically robs you of all your money, and you have to keep giving him more money. The fact that they made it so expensive sucked.
Yeah.
It should not have been that much, like, at all.
Okay. Yeah, no, right. So, yeah, you feel like Twilight's side characters are more forgettable, and that Wind Waker kind of has more memorable characters, and I think I can agree with that, because I do remember Wind Waker. I mean, it helps that I played it more recently, but I do remember Wind Waker's side characters a lot more.
And
they also have a bit more flair on, more cartoony. So they do have that up on.
In my opinion, we touched about this, how both games did really well with their tone. I think, given the fact that Wind Waker is a couple years older, I think overall did it in my opinion at least, a little better for it being 4 years older of a game. Because when I play games, I typically or compare them to each other, I typically think about like what this game seemed like when it came out compared to the other game.
Right. I feel that way about Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom.
And in my opinion, while Twilight Princess improved on a lot of the stuff that Wind Waker had, Wind Waker did pretty damn good for it being older of a game. Yeah.
Twilight did have a 4-year advantage, so there's that. So I kind of was taking score each round. Not by numbers. I kind of just gave who won each round. And as the ref, it breaks my heart to give a winner because I love both my guests and both those games. Now, round 1 went to Tetra for graphics and style. Obviously, Wind Waker is just unforgettable style. I think it influenced all the future cel-shaded games that were to come. Even today,
did impact Breath of the
it's
Wild.
even
yeah.
But it's funny to think about the fact that with Wind Waker, no one liked the graphics when the game came out. That was the most heated topic when that game came out.
Was one of them. I was one of them. I hated it. I couldn't. I wanted my Link back, and then now I went back and played it, and I was like, this is good. This is perfect for this style.
I also will say, I feel like because of the cartoony look of Wind Waker, Wind Waker was geared more towards a slightly younger audience, whereas Twilight Princess was probably geared towards a slightly older one. Yeah. If I had to guess, with how their art styles are.
Yeah. So yeah, round 1 definitely goes to Wind Waker. There's no doubt about it. I still like Twilight Princess's graphics, but Wind Waker is just it's too timeless. Now round 2 went to Wob for the world design and exploration.
I can agree with that.
Even though I enjoy the open sea and the freedom and the discovery of Wind Waker, I think it gives you this exploration vibe that you just it's really cool to feel. Twilight Princess feels more like the regions are more dense and things are connected and everything is kind of a part of one thing, as where Wind Waker was, you spent a lot of time in the boat going from island to island. And you do spend a lot of time somewhat on Epona, but I don't think it's a fair comparison to say. So I kind of gave round 2 to the Twilight Princess. Round 3 is dungeon design. Now, this one was kind of hard for me because I didn't really remember a whole lot of Twilight Princess's dungeon designs, but when you brought up the Beyblade and the dual hook shot, I remember how awesome they were. And then I remember liking, specifically from Wind Waker, there was 2 dungeons I liked, and there was 2 dungeons I really disliked. And they're exactly the same ones that you did not like, Tetra.
Of course, no one liked those because those puzzles were tedious.
The puzzles were tedious, and you have the companion that it feels not like it's not fun to control. It's a little bit fun, but it's not that fun. And you're controlling the companions for a pretty long time during the dungeon.
I will say it's almost like they saw how Lord Jabba Jabba's belly went in Ocarina of Time and were like, let's take this idea.
We made that, but ass.
Yeah, it was like...
Now you have to actually control the person and not just pick them up and move them where you want them.
If you're gonna Ruto, because she would hold down switches and stuff,
right? And if you're gonna give me like a secondary playable character, make it either really fun or just a small segment of the dungeon. Don't make it like half the dungeon. Like
it was the main dungeon mechanics.
It was like I didn't want to be the little Deku guy or Kokiri guy for like 90%. Yeah, Korok guy.
Korok.
Yeah, Korok. That's another thing I didn't like about Wind Waker was the Korkiris were little seeds or whatever they were.
We know.
But but that's my dungeon design went to Twilight because my memories of it are a lot more. Were a lot more fun. I did like the other dungeons though in Wind Waker. The other 2 were great. They were fine. I just don't know why they chose those 2 designs for the wind and the earth. I'm not sure.
High highs, very low lows. For
exactly.
Dungeons.
Yes.
Here's the thing. As mentioned, I hate the Earth Temple more than the Wind, but that's partially because design-wise, I liked how Wind probably took some inspiration from what Ocarina of Time's dungeon was supposed to be.
Yeah, and I think Wind Waker's strengths isn't its dungeons. I think it's the overworld. So, round 4, combat and gameplay mechanics. This one went to Twilight Princess, and only because, as you guys both kind of suggested, is that Wind Waker had a really cool mechanic with like the sword play where you dodge the attacks, and then Twilight Princess basically did that but extra, where you learn from your ancestor and you basically do all these cool combos. And So that, like, as far as the combat strictly, I did really like that Wind Waker little the slash combat thing that where you press A and react. But it seemed like that it almost walked so that Twilight's combat could run. And again, I don't like Wind Waker really excels in certain areas, and I don't think combat is one of them. Though I also enjoyed being Wolf Link. I think Wolf Link was a fun mechanic. Maybe not as much as they make you be it. Maybe I would like to be it a little bit less. But Wolf Link is a cool mechanic. And when we say which feels better to play moment to moment, and I think that you're going to feel moment to moment more like fun in Twilight than Wind Waker. Now, Wind Waker remedies some of that in the HD version with the Twilight, the Triforce quest getting like slashed in half, and you don't have to. You're not just sitting there sailing, waiting to get to the next island. Because Tetra, you mentioned this. You kind of like, or maybe it was you, Wob. You like sail in one direction, and then you just kind of like walk away until you get to the island.
I mentioned that where you can just set your controller down, enjoy the music, and
yes, and it's very vibey. And I didn't do music as a genre. Now I'm bad.
I also forgot to mention Wind Waker wins the music.
Wind Waker wins that one. Twilight has some great set pieces and everything, but Wind Waker's just it
has such a great soundtrack. The fact that Dragon Roost Island alone.
Alone. If I'm like, even I have like dubstep remixes. Of that.
Yeah, I agree. I think the music in Wind Waker is so good. It's got some bops. It's got some really memorable tracks. I actually really like it.
And also, like when you're playing when you're using the Wind Waker, the sound when the full song plays is basically a choir.
Oh yeah,
I can't believe Tetra that you didn't mention that in combat, the more as you do combos and stuff, it makes musical jingles to make combat feel more fun.
Yeah,
You could have won that one.
Oh yeah, it does the music. I remember that. It's like bring. Yeah,
Thank you. Remember towards the end now.
Yeah. So if we're adding the music category, that definitely goes to win. Now, So that was round 4, which was combat and gameplay mechanics. Now round 5, which I combined with round 6, for the story, the themes, and the characters. This one went to wait, I didn't write it down. You know what? This one was a tie. That's why
I was gonna say because they both did well in what they were
set out to do. Yeah,
it was kind of hard because I was like, man, yeah, you're right. The Wind Waker's characters are really memorable, and then it's like, oh yeah, you're right. Like the theme of the corruption and the sacrifice of in the shadow and the light in the Twilight Princess is really good. You know,
even I was remembering more Wind Waker side characters than I was Twilight characters.
And can I also say though, can we at least agree that they both did well with Ganon in various different points of his life? Because they did so well because they're the same person, but to see how when the timeline diverged, how they ended up, like one really is more menacing, like out for blood, and the other one at the end of the game is just tired and exhausted, and like you can tell he's lived for a long time, sort of thing. They did really well with that.
They showed the human side of Ganon in Wind Waker. They showed that he wasn't just a all evil. I mean, he is all evil, but he's like just out to get, just destroy, smash. That's kind of the Ganon you get in most of the Zeldas. But in Wind Waker, they really give you that, they give him the Thanos treatment a little bit, where it's like, okay, I can kind of feel his emotions, and somewhat understand like what he's going through. So I appreciate
that. It bothers me that it's Ganondorf.
Yeah.
But you guys keep saying Ganon.
I say Ganon to shorten it, but technically Ganon is his beast form and Ganondorf's the human. But I hate saying Ganondorf in full because it's stupid.
What's his last name, Tetra?
Dorf?
Crap. No, it's not.
Come on.
I saw this. Hold on.
It's like Gerudo?
Google it.
Is it Gerudo?
No, Ganon. It's not. It is. God, what is it?
Ganondorf.
I know this.
It definitely sounds like an advisor to the king name.
Yeah,
Jafar?
it does. I know that.
His name is Ganondorf Dragmire.
Right.
Okay.
I was like, I knew it started with a D. I just didn't remember what it was.
Ganondorf.
I thought it was Ganondorf. Honestly,
I knew his name wasn't Dorf. Again, Ganondorf has the same conventions of the fact that the Mario's canon name is Mario.
Link, Luigi Mario.
Literally.
Yeah, I just shorten his name as well because it's like saying Ganondorf all the time.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, it's like Ganon.
Like, as long as we're not trying.
Actually,
here's the thing. My thing is, I will, if I'm talking about specifically like his more like Beast Form or the earlier version of him, I will refer to him as Ganon, and I will separate the two out. But if we're just talking about one version, it doesn't matter which version. I'll call him Ganon.
Yeah.
See, the thing is, in Twilight, he does switch between Ganon and Ganondorf.
Yeah, I do know that, but it's like we were more of talking about like we were mainly talking about like.
So that's why I have to specify Ganondorf in Twilight.
Yeah, you gave us the actually moment. Actually,
actually.
You know what's funny is usually I'm the person who does that.
I'm leaving the call, man.
I'm the person who sits there and be like, "How much time do you have to talk about the Zelda timeline with me?"
Oh yeah, no, Ganondorf for sure. I used to exclusively call him Ganondorf until I don't know recently. So yeah,
that was a tie.
That was a tie, and then we went to aged, and this one was a pretty clear winner. Damn
it!
Even you conceded, Wob, that Wind Waker was the better game for aged. It just holds up as far the gameplay holds up, the graphics hold up. I would say the gameplay probably for Twilight holds up too, but when you first look at it, you're gonna have more of a shock value than you do with Wind Waker. Wind Waker feels like a modern game when you look at it. You're like,
it's because of the as mentioned, it's mainly because of the graphics. Because Wind Waker, like cartoons, are never gonna grow old. Let's be honest.
Yeah,
animation like that is never gonna grow old. Whereas like more realistic, which is why like PS1 era, like with the polygon humans, has aged so horribly, and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. So, aged was just kind of a straight win, just mostly, well, and you mentioned some gameplay mechanics, Wob, that there was like some tedium that in Twilight Princess that you're like having to do these things that you really shouldn't have to do over and over, or like with the teleporting and then maybe going all the way up to the castle to get your double damage elixir of some sort or something like that.
Oh, elixir
desert.
Soup. In Wind Waker, it's the elixir soup.
Yeah. So, there are some gameplay mechanics that age. With Wind Waker, there was the only thing that really aged gameplay-wise was really the Triforce Quest.
Triforce Quest.
Yeah, I mean, everything else was fine. And then, I can complain about the dungeons, but they're not I wouldn't say they aged. It's mostly just like, I didn't want to play the companions. So now, on the final round, when we kind of had the free-for-all, the freestyle, I gave this one to Twilight Princess only because Wob was making me laugh about his criticisms with Wind Waker.
Yeah, no, he was making me laugh too.
Yeah, it was just, was funny. But it wasn't, honestly, both of you had very good points about the other game and why your games are good. And obviously, I should have probably said this in the beginning of the episode. We're all Zelda fans, so it's kind of hard to criticize these games that we actually like, because it's not like Wob, you dislike Wind Waker, and Tetra, you dislike Twilight. It's like, it's just, I have a preference or whatever. And
it's just our opinions.
Yeah. And both of these games are actually really good. Maybe both of them are close to 9 to 10 out of 10s, but, I have to, for the sake of the episode, we have to kind of, do the...
Kind of like how at the beginning we were talking about how like everyone was like, I typically prefer Twilight Princess, and there's me that's like, I know this is an uphill battle. I straight up do, because I know a lot of people will say better things about Twilight Princess without taking into account the fact that Wind Waker is 4 years older. A lot can happen in 4 years.
I think that's changing though.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
quite a bit actually. Yeah, like games from 4 years ago now don't hold up.
Yeah, and
just forgettable games all the time now.
And more people are like retrospectively respecting Wind Waker way more than they ever did. It's become way more popular. I think I want to say like Riker was also a Wind Waker fan over Twilight Princess, but he didn't respond. So I think he also said that. So I was kind of surprised to see so many Twilights. But yeah, I think it's an ever growing. People are respecting it more and seeing the passion in the project. And just because something is new doesn't mean it's bad. But obviously, when you get used to something, it's hard to adjust to new things sometimes. So yeah. Great. So that honestly puts you guys at a tie. It was Tetra 3, Wob 4, but when you put the music category in, it was 4 and 4. So now, like,
yeah, you're right.
Okay.
Like
Right.
it
I added music.
huh?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You added 2 together. That would still be 4 to 3.
4 to your 3.
My 4 to her 3.
She had
Hold
one.
on.
She had 1, 5, 7, and music.
That's 4.
Yeah.
No, 7.
Because we
was what?
tied one.
Yeah,
Seven was
we both
age.
got one. Oh no.
Oh, so it'd be 5 to 5 if you put the ties in. Yeah.
With my math.
Yeah. It's well, it
I
got a little.
wasn't counting.
It got a little weird with the combining the categories. So, yeah,
So
no,
it's neck and neck.
yeah,
It's really more
I
preference.
Yeah.
will say that if you hadn't combined the categories, those two would still probably have been tied. Because Twilight Princess, I would argue, has a slightly better story, whereas Wind Waker then has the slightly better characters.
Probably,
Yeah.
probably would have tied again. Yeah,
Yeah.
like, this is the thing, is that the best part about the challenge between the two of these is that if you're somebody trying to get into retro games or a Zelda fan of newer Zeldas and you want to see the old ones, you don't go wrong one way or another. You get
Yeah.
Wind Waker, you get Twilight. They're both exceptionally great Zelda games.
yeah, they're both great. They were both worth experiencing 100%. Did you want to say something, Tetra?
Oh yeah, no, I was just like, well, they're great in their aspects because, as we mentioned several times, they are very different tones, very different story, very different worlds. One you're on the ocean, one you're on the land the entire time. They are literally almost like polar opposites when
Yeah.
it comes to tone and world, but they both excel in those sort of categories.
Yeah. So, I guess because it was a tie, and that I want to just leave it to the audience. Like, and if anybody, if you're listening to this episode, which one did you prefer, Twilight or Wind Waker, and why? And also, did we get it right? Did we not say, should we have said something else, or should we have mentioned something we didn't mention? These games are pretty in depth at times. So I know there's a lot of like intricacies and things we could have talked about the fishing game all and the intricacies of that, I guess. But it's like, there's all these
Mail sorting.
or the mail sorting. There's all these little side quests and missions in these games that it's hard to really cover everything. But I think that was a good episode. I think that was really I got to honestly learn more about the games through you guys, which is really cool. And I kind of want feedback from maybe the people listening. If you want a different format for this versus episode, let me know. This is kind of new and raw, so we're kind of figuring out what works. But yeah, it was a great time. Thank you guys.
Wind Waker should have lost a point because of Tingle, and Twilight should have gained a point because of Midna. Thank you all. Have a good night.
Yeah, we just give a entire round goes.
Wow.
Well, folks, that's game over for this episode of Retro Reloaded. Thanks for joining me on this retro adventure. If you loved today's trip down memory lane, then consider helping me keep the nostalgia alive by supporting me on Patreon at patreon.com/retro reloaded. You'll get early episodes, bonus content, and a chance to pick the next game that we reload. Feel free to let me know your thoughts about the podcast, and until next time, keep those controllers charged.